The Zephyrian Council chamber had never felt so cold, despite the artificial atmosphere processors working at full capacity. Ambassador Kael'thera sat rigid in her ceremonial robes, watching the holographic displays that showed the devastating truth. The red markers indicating destroyed colonies outnumbered the blue ones representing surviving settlements by a ratio that made her stomach clench with despair. The final evacuation fleets from Sector 7 have been destroyed, announced General Vexmore, his usually proud military bearing now slumped with defeat. The Devourers consumed everything. No survivors. The chamber fell silent except for the soft humming of life support systems. Kael'thera looked around at the faces of the last leaders of what had once been a thriving galactic civilization spanning hundreds of worlds. Now they sat in this hidden asteroid base, the final remnant of the Zephyrian Republic that had stood for over 3,000 years. "How many worlds do we have left?" asked Elder Simvara, her ancient voice barely above a whisper. 12 inhabited systems, Vexmore replied, his clawed hands trembling slightly as he manipulated the holographic interface. "Perhaps 15 million souls total. The rest." He gestured helplessly at the sea of red markers. "Gone. All gone." The Devourers had appeared in their galaxy 18 months ago, emerging from the dark void between galaxies like a cosmic plague. They were unlike anything the Zephyrians had encountered in their long history of space exploration. These creatures didn't seek territory or resources in any conventional sense. They consumed everything: matter, energy, even the fabric of space-time itself, leaving behind absolutely nothing. Not even cosmic dust remained in their wake. At first, the Zephyrian military had been confident. Their fleets were among the most advanced in known space, equipped with plasma cannons capable of cracking planets, and energy shields that could withstand supernovas. They had defeated the crystalline hive minds of Andromeda, repelled the machine invasions from the Magellanic clouds, and established peace treaties with dozens of alien civilizations. But the Devourers were different. They seemed to exist partially outside normal space-time, phasing in and out of reality at will. Conventional weapons passed through them harmlessly, while their own attacks drained the very life force from ships and their crews. Worse, they learned and adapted with each encounter, becoming more efficient at countering Zephyrian tactics. "Perhaps it's time we considered the unthinkable," said Counselor Nethran, breaking the heavy silence. "The Archive Protocol." Every member of the council stiffened. The Archive Protocol was their civilization's final contingency plan, developed during the height of their technological advancement. It involved encoding the complete knowledge, culture, and genetic information of their species into quantum storage matrices, then launching them into deep space toward potentially habitable systems. It was essentially abandoning their physical existence in favor of preserving their legacy for some hypothetical future civilization that might discover and decode their messages. "We swore an oath never to activate that protocol while a single Zephyrian still drew breath," Elder Simvara said firmly. "Our ancestors would turn in their graves." "Our ancestors are already dead," Nethran replied coldly, "along with 98% of our people. We have perhaps 6 standard months before the Devourers reach our remaining colonies. After that, there will be nothing left to preserve." Kael'thera studied the tactical displays, her mind racing through possibilities they had already explored countless times. Every conventional military strategy had failed. Evacuation was impossible because the Devourers moved faster than their ships. Hiding was futile because the creatures seemed capable of detecting life itself across vast distances. "What about the deep space monitoring stations?" she asked suddenly. "The ones we positioned beyond the galactic rim." "Most have gone silent," Vexmore replied. "We assume the Devourers have consumed them along with everything else. But not all of them." The general paused, checking his data streams. 3 stations in the outer dark are still transmitting, but they haven't reported anything significant. Just empty void and background radiation. Kael'thera felt a spark of something she hadn't experienced in months: hope. "Show me their sensor logs from the past 72 hours. Vexmore looked puzzled, but complied, bringing up the data from the remote monitoring posts. For several minutes, they scrolled through readings of cosmic radiation, gravitational fluctuations, and electromagnetic emissions. All normal background noise from the universe. Then, Kael'thera saw it. A tiny anomaly in the gravitational sensors from Station Omega 7. Something massive had passed through that region of space, but the signature was unlike anything in their databases. "This gravitational wake," she said, pointing to the display. "It's too organized to be a natural phenomenon, but The energy signature doesn't match any known species. It could be debris from one of our destroyed fleets, suggested Counselor Nethran. Gravitational echoes can persist for days after a ship's destruction. No, look at the pattern. Kilthara enhanced the image, her heart's beginning to race. This object was under intelligent control, and it was heading directly toward our galaxy. The council members leaned forward, studying the data with new interest. After months of unrelenting despair, any anomaly seemed potentially significant. Even if this represents another species, said Elder Simvara slowly, what could they possibly do against the devourers that we haven't already tried? We've exhausted every weapon in our arsenal. Maybe they haven't, Kilthara replied. Maybe they have capabilities we've never imagined. General Vexmore was already working on tactical calculations. If this object maintains its current trajectory and velocity, it should enter our galaxy within the next 48 hours. We could position observation drones to monitor its approach. Do it, ordered Elder Simvara. But maintain maximum distance. If this unknown civilization encounters the devourers, we don't want to reveal our own location. Over the next 2 days, the Zephyrian leadership watched the monitoring stations with desperate attention. The mysterious object continued its approach, seemingly unaware of the cosmic horror that had consumed 90% of their galaxy. Several council members began preparing the archive protocol, convinced they were about to witness another civilization's destruction. The first real data came from Station Omega 7 as the unknown vessel passed within scanning range. The readings were impossible. The ship is approximately 12 kilometers long, reported Vexmore, his voice filled with disbelief. But the mass readings suggest it's composed of materials denser than neutronium. The energy signatures indicate power generation on the scale of a small star. That's impossible, breathed Counselor Nethran. No known technology could create such a vessel. The hull composition is unlike anything in our databases, continued the general. It appears to be a metallic alloy, but one that shouldn't be able to exist under normal physics. And the energy field surrounding the ship, it's as if space-time itself is being warped around the vessel. Kilthara felt her hope growing stronger. This ship represented technology far beyond anything the Zephyrians had achieved, possibly beyond anything they had ever encountered. If its builders possessed such advanced capabilities, perhaps they also possessed weapons that could harm the Devourers. Has the ship detected our monitoring stations? Asked Elder Simvara. Unknown, replied Vexmore. But, given their apparent technological superiority, we must assume they're aware of our presence. Then, why haven't they made contact? Before anyone could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the council chamber. The tactical displays suddenly showed massive energy signatures approaching from the galactic core, the unmistakable presence of a devourer swarm moving at unprecedented speed. They're heading directly for the unknown ship, reported Vexmore, his voice tight with tension. 12 devourer entities, moving in perfect formation. They'll intercept in 17 minutes. The council watched in horrified fascination as the two forces approached each other. The devourers had never been observed operating in such large groups before. Their usual tactic was to spread across multiple star systems simultaneously, consuming everything in their path. This coordinated response suggested they viewed the approaching vessel as a significant threat. Should we warn the unknown ship? Asked Counselor Nethran. With what? Replied Kilthara bitterly. We don't even know how to communicate with them, assuming they don't already know about the devourers. The encounter was about to begin. Through the long-range sensors, they could see the devourers' characteristic reality distortion effects as the creatures began to phase in and out of normal space-time. Their forms were barely visible, vast, shifting shadows that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The unknown ship made no attempt to alter course or flee. It continued its steady approach toward the galaxy's edge, apparently unconcerned by the approaching cosmic horrors. Contact in 30 seconds, announced Vexmore. The Zephyrian leaders held their breath as the two forces met in the cold void between galaxies. The Devourers struck first, their reality-warping attacks designed to drain the life force and structural integrity from their target. Then, something unprecedented happened. The unknown ship's energy field flared brilliantly, and the space around it seemed to crystallize into geometric patterns that defied conventional physics. The Devourer's attack struck this barrier and simply stopped. Not reflected or absorbed, but terminated as if they had never existed. Impossible, whispered Elder Simvara. The ship's response was immediate and devastating. Beams of pure energy, not plasma or particle weapons, but something that appeared to be weaponized spacetime itself, lanced out from multiple points along its hull. Where these beams touched the Devourers, the creatures didn't just die. They ceased to exist, leaving no trace that they had ever been there. In less than 2 minutes, all 12 Devourer entities had been eliminated. The unknown ship resumed its course toward the galaxy as if nothing had happened. By the ancestors, breathed General Vexmore. They actually destroyed them. After 18 months of slaughter, this single vessel eliminated an entire Devourer swarm in 2 minutes. Kelthara was already moving toward the communications array. Open all frequencies. Standard diplomatic channels, emergency beacons, everything. Ambassador, cautioned Elder Simvara, we don't know their intentions. They might be just as dangerous as the Devourers. They might be, Kelthara agreed. But they're our only hope. After what we just witnessed, I'd rather take the chance with beings who can destroy the Devourers than wait here to be consumed. The communication attempts continued for hours without response. The mysterious ship entered their galaxy and began moving through the outer systems, apparently conducting some form of survey. Wherever it passed, any remaining Devourer presence was immediately eliminated with the same impossible efficiency they had witnessed. They're not just passing through, realized Vexmore. They're systematically hunting down every Devourer in our galaxy. Indeed, over the following hours, they watched as the ship visited star system after star system, methodically destroying any Devourers it encountered. The creatures that had terrorized their civilization for 18 months were being eliminated like cosmic vermin. Why? Asked Counselor Nethran. What do they gain from this? Maybe they're just doing what we would have done, suggested Kelthara. Maybe they're here to help. It was then that the ship finally responded to their communications. The signal came through on frequencies they had never used before, transmitted in a language that their computers had no reference for. But, somehow, impossibly, they understood it. This is Captain Sarah Chun of the United Earth ship Prometheus. We received your distress signals approximately 6 months ago. We came as soon as we could. Are there any survivors among the Zephyrian people? The council chamber erupted in shocked exclamations. Not only had the mysterious beings responded, but they claimed to be from a planet called Earth, a world that appeared nowhere in their extensive galactic databases. More significantly, they had traveled across intergalactic space in response to Zephyrian distress calls. Elder Simvara took control of the communications array with trembling hands. This is Elder Simvara of the Zephyrian Republic. Yes, there are survivors. Approximately 15 million across 12 star systems. But how did you receive our signals? And how did you travel such distances? Your people broadcast distress calls across multiple dimensions when your civilization came under attack, came the reply. The signals reached Earth approximately 6 months ago. As for how we traveled here, that's a longer conversation. Right now, we need to focus on eliminating the remaining threats in your galaxy. You're hunting the Devourers, said Kelthara, joining the conversation. That's correct. We've encountered this species before in other galaxies. They're a cosmic plague that must be contained before they spread further. Don't worry, we know how to deal with them. The casual confidence in the human's voice was staggering. These beings spoke of interdimensional communication and intergalactic travel as if they were routine matters. They referred to the terrifying Devourers as merely a known threat to be dealt with. How many ships do you have? Asked General Vexmore. Just the Prometheus. But she's more than sufficient for this type of operation. A single ship to cleanse their entire galaxy of the monsters that had destroyed their civilization. The implications were overwhelming. We have detailed intelligence on Devourer positions and movement patterns, offered Kelthara. We've been tracking them for 18 months. That would be helpful, replied Captain Chen. Can you transmit the data to these coordinates? A stream of numerical values appeared on their displays, coordinates that pinpointed their exact location despite all their stealth measures. You know where we are, observed Elder Simvara. We've known since we entered your galaxy. Your technology is impressive, but our sensors operate on principles you haven't discovered yet. Don't worry, we're here to help, not to conquer. As they transmitted their intelligence data to the human ship, Kelthara found herself struggling to process what was happening. For months, they had accepted that their civilization was doomed. The mighty Zephyrian Republic, with all its technological achievements and military might, had proven helpless against the cosmic horror of the Devourers. Now beings from an unknown world had arrived with capabilities that made their greatest achievements look primitive. They spoke of traveling between galaxies as easily as the Zephyrians traveled between planets. They casually mentioned encountering devourers in other galaxies, suggesting a scope of experience that spanned the known universe. Captain Chun, she said finally, what are humans? Where do you come from? We're from a small planet in what you probably call the Sol system, about 26,000 light-years from here. As for what we are, well, that's a story that might take a while to explain. But the short version is that we're explorers, defenders, and sometimes the cleanup crew for cosmic-scale problems. How long have you been traveling between galaxies? About 400 years, subjectively. Though time gets complicated when you're dealing with dimensional transit and relativistic effects. 400 years of intergalactic exploration. The humans had been crossing the cosmic void for longer than most Zephyrian space colonies had existed. Yet their homeworld didn't appear in any galactic databases, suggesting they had achieved interstellar travel relatively recently before making some incredible technological breakthrough. We've uploaded your Devourer tracking data, reported General Vexmore. Transmission complete. Excellent. We'll begin systematic elimination of the remaining threats immediately. Based on your data, we estimate the cleansing operation will take approximately 72 hours. 72 hours to eliminate threats that had taken 18 months to destroy 90% of their galaxy. The scale of human capabilities was becoming clear, and it was both humbling and hopeful. Is there anything we can do to assist? Asked Elder Simvara. Stay safe and prepare your people. Once we've eliminated the Devourer threat, we'll need to discuss reconstruction efforts and long-term security measures. The cosmos is a dangerous place, and you'll need better defenses for the future. As the human ship began its systematic patrol of their galaxy, the Zephyrian Council watched the tactical displays with growing amazement. Every Devourer encounter ended the same way: swift, decisive elimination with no apparent effort on the humans' part. They're not just destroying them, observed Vexmore after studying the sensor readings. They're completely erasing them from reality, as if the Devourers never existed. What kind of weapons could do that? Wondered Counselor Nethran. Maybe it's not weapons, suggested Kael'thara. Maybe it's something else entirely. Something beyond our understanding of physics. As they watched humanity's lone representatives systematically cleanse their galaxy of cosmic horrors, one thing became clear. The Zephyrian Republic's long nightmare was finally coming to an end. But their encounter with humanity was just beginning, and the implications of first contact with such an advanced species would reshape their understanding of the universe itself. Captain Sarah Chun materialized in the Zephyrian Council chamber through what appeared to be a controlled spatial distortion, accompanied by two other humans who introduced themselves as Dr. Marcus Webb and Commander Lisa Rodriguez. Their arrival method alone demonstrated technological capabilities that left the assembled Zephyrian leaders speechless. Thank you for agreeing to meet face-to-face, Captain Chun said, her calm demeanor somehow making the impossible seem routine. Direct communication is always more effective than transmissions when discussing complex matters. Kael'thara studied the humans with fascination. They appeared remarkably similar to Zephyrians in basic body structure: bipedal, bilateral symmetry, sensory organs arranged in logical patterns. But there were subtle differences that suggested either convergent evolution or something far more intriguing. You've eliminated 96% of the Devourer presence in our galaxy in just 60 hours, said Elder Simvara, still struggling to comprehend what they had witnessed. Our most optimistic projections suggested such an operation would require years, assuming it was possible at all. Dr. Webb consulted a device that projected holographic data into the air around him. The remaining 4% are concentrated in 3 heavily infested systems near your galactic core. They've adopted a defensive clustering strategy, which actually makes our job easier. We'll have them eliminated within the next 12 hours. That's not possible, General Vexmore said flatly. Those core systems contain the highest concentration of Devourers we've ever recorded. Hundreds of entities, possibly thousands. They consumed entire solar systems. We've dealt with larger infestations, Commander Rodriguez replied matter-of-factly. The Andromeda operation involved clearing approximately 50,000 Devourer entities from a single galaxy cluster. This is relatively manageable. The casual mention of operations spanning multiple galaxies struck the Zephyrians like a physical blow. These humans spoke of traveling between galaxies and conducting military operations on cosmic scales as if they were discussing routine patrol duties. How is this possible? Asked Counselor Nethran. No species should possess such capabilities. The energy requirements alone would exceed the output of entire star clusters. Dr. Webb smiled, and Kael'thra noticed there was genuine warmth in the expression rather than condescension. That's true if you're limited to conventional physics. But the universe operates on principles far more flexible than most species discover before they encounter cosmic-scale threats. What do you mean? Pressed Kael'thra. Reality isn't as fixed as it appears, Captain Chen explained. Space-time, matter, energy, even causality itself can be manipulated once you understand the underlying quantum frameworks. What you perceive as impossible violations of physics are simply applications of deeper natural laws. General Vexmore leaned forward intently. Are you saying you've discovered some form of unified field theory? A complete understanding of cosmic mechanics? Not complete, admitted Dr. Webb. No species ever achieves complete understanding. The universe is far too complex and constantly evolving. But humans have developed practical applications for quantum reality manipulation, dimensional transit, temporal mechanics, and several other fields that most civilizations never encounter. How? The question came from Elder Simvara, and it carried the weight of desperate curiosity. How did your species achieve such advancement? What makes humans different? The three humans exchanged glances, and Kael'thra sensed there was more to this question than simple technological development. That's complicated, said Captain Chen finally. Human advancement wasn't entirely natural. We had help. Help from whom? From species like yourselves. And from others who had fallen to threats like the Devourers. Commander Rodriguez activated her own holographic display, showing what appeared to be a cosmic map spanning multiple galaxy clusters. Hundreds of points were marked with different colored indicators. This represents the current state of our local cosmic region, she explained. Red markers indicate galaxies currently under threat from various cosmic-scale dangers. Yellow markers show civilizations that are stable but vulnerable. Green markers represent galaxies under active protection. Kael'thra studied the display with growing amazement. There were thousands of galaxies represented, with hundreds showing green markers. You're protecting hundreds of galaxies? Humans and our allied species, yes. We operate a kind of cosmic defense network. When civilizations like yourselves face extinction-level threats, we respond if we can. Allied species? Dr. Webb nodded. Approximately 47 different civilizations that we've encountered and assisted over the past 4 centuries. Many of them were in situations similar to yours when we first made contact. Now they're partners in maintaining cosmic stability. The implications were staggering. Humanity had apparently built an intergalactic alliance dedicated to protecting younger civilizations from cosmic threats. The Zephyrian Republic, for all its achievements, was apparently just one of many species they had encountered and aided. But how did this begin? Asked Kael'thra. How did humans first achieve the capability for intergalactic travel? Captain Chun was quiet for a moment, and when she spoke, her voice carried a note of old sadness. Humanity faced its own extinction event approximately 450 years ago, not from Devourers, but from something equally devastating. We call them the entropy swarms, entities that feed on organized energy and reduce everything to random particle motion. They attacked Earth. They attacked our entire local galaxy cluster. Humanity was confined to a single star system at the time. We had barely achieved faster-than-light travel. When the entropy swarms arrived, we had perhaps 6 months before they reached Earth. General Vexmore was studying the humans with new understanding. Your species faced the same crisis we did. Worse, actually. We had no advanced technology, no military capable of interstellar operations, and no understanding of the cosmic threats that existed beyond our local region. We were completely helpless. Then, how did you survive? We were rescued by a species called the Architects, Dr. Webb explained. They had been observing human development for several centuries, waiting to see if we would develop certain characteristics they considered important. What characteristics? Commander Rodriguez smiled grimly. Adaptability under pressure, willingness to sacrifice for others, the ability to find hope in desperate situations, and, most importantly, the tendency to help others even when it provides no direct benefit. The Architects had been conducting a kind of cosmic experiment, continued Captain Chun. They had identified several species across multiple galaxies that showed these traits, but most were destroyed by various threats before they could fully develop. Humanity was one of the few that survived long enough to demonstrate the full range of characteristics they were looking for. So they shared their technology with you? They did more than that. They integrated us into their cosmic monitoring network and gave us a choice. Use their technology to flee to safety, or remain and fight to protect other species facing similar threats. Kelthara felt a chill of understanding. And humans chose to fight. Unanimously, confirmed Dr. Webb. Even knowing the risks, even understanding that we would be committing ourselves and all future human generations to an eternal war against cosmic-scale threats, every human government voted to join the protection network. The architects were impressed, added Commander Rodriguez. They had offered the same choice to 12 other species over the previous million years. 11 chose to flee to safety. Only humans chose to stay and fight. What happened to the architects? Asked Elder Simvara. Captain Chen's expression grew solemn. They ascended to a higher dimensional state approximately 300 years ago. They left behind their technology, their knowledge, and their mission. The protection network is now maintained entirely by the species they had recruited and trained. The revelation transformed everything the Zephyrians thought they understood about their situation. They weren't just being rescued by an advanced species. They were being recruited into a cosmic community dedicated to protecting life itself from the various threats that existed in the universe. And you're offering the same choice to us? Asked Kelthara. We're offering you the opportunity to rebuild and decide your own future, replied Captain Chen. If the Zephyrian Republic chooses to join the protection network, you'll be welcomed and trained. If you prefer to focus on reconstruction and internal development, you'll be protected and left alone. The choice is entirely yours. What would joining the protection network involve? Inquired General Vexmore. Dr. Webb activated a new series of holographic displays showing various human and allied installations. Technology transfer to bring your capabilities up to network standards. Training in cosmic-scale threat recognition and response. Integration with the early warning systems that monitor multiple galaxy clusters. And, eventually, participation in protection operations for other threatened civilizations. Your people would gain access to dimensional transit technology, quantum reality manipulation, advanced defensive systems, and knowledge accumulated from 47 different advanced civilizations, added Commander Rodriguez. In return, the Zephyrian Republic would contribute your own unique technological and cultural perspectives to the network. Councillor Nethran raised a concern that had been troubling several council members. What if we're simply not capable of operating at such advanced levels? Our technology, while sophisticated by our standards, appears primitive compared to yours. Every species feels that way initially, Dr. Webb assured him. The Nexari had only achieved nuclear fusion when we first encountered them. Now they operate some of the most advanced stellar engineering projects in the network. The Kithira were still using chemical rockets for space travel when the Devourers attacked their galaxy. Today they're responsible for monitoring temporal anomalies across 17 galaxy clusters. Advancement isn't about your starting point, explained Captain Chun. It's about your willingness to learn, adapt, and contribute. The architects specifically chose species based on character traits rather than technological achievement, and they were right to do so. Elder Simvara studied the cosmic map, noting the vast scope of the protection network. How do you manage coordination across such distances? Even with faster-than-light communication, the logistics must be impossible. Dimensional transit eliminates most distance-based limitations, replied Commander Rodriguez. Once you understand how to manipulate spatial dimensions, physical distance becomes largely irrelevant. We can deploy response teams from any galaxy to any other galaxy within hours if necessary. The network also operates with significant autonomy, added Dr. Webb. Each member civilization specializes in particular types of threats or support functions. Humans, for example, are often deployed against reality-manipulating entities like the Devourers because we've developed especially effective countermeasures. The Nexari handle massive engineering projects. The Kithira deal with temporal distortions. Every species contributes according to their strengths. Kelthara was beginning to understand the scope of what they were being offered. You're not just offering to save our civilization. You're offering us the chance to help save others. Exactly, confirmed Captain Chun. The universe is full of young civilizations facing threats they can't understand or overcome. Without the protection network, most of them would be destroyed. With it, they have the chance to survive, grow, and eventually contribute to protecting others. And if we choose not to join? Asked Elder Simvara. Then, you'll be protected anyway, replied Dr. Webb. The network's mission is to preserve life and civilization, not to force recruitment. You'll receive enough technology transfer to defend yourselves against future threats, help rebuilding your destroyed worlds, and assistance in re-establishing your civilization. Your choice will be respected either way. The council members spent several minutes studying the displays and discussing the implications among themselves. Finally, General Vexmore spoke for the group. We need to consult with the surviving populations across our remaining worlds. A decision this significant affects every Zephyrian citizen. Of course, agreed Captain Chun. Take all the time you need. We'll continue elimination operations against the remaining Devourers while you deliberate. There's no pressure to decide quickly. How long does technology transfer typically take? Asked Kelthra. For basic defensive capabilities, approximately 6 months, replied Dr. Webb. For full network integration, usually 2 to 3 years. But you can contribute meaningfully to protection operations much sooner than that. Often, fresh perspectives from newly integrated species prove invaluable in developing new approaches to cosmic threats. As the humans prepared to leave, Elder Simvara had one final question. Why do you do this? What drives humans to take such risks for species you've never met? Captain Chun paused at the chamber entrance, considering her response carefully. Because someone did it for us when we needed help. Because every civilization deserves the chance to reach its potential. And because the universe is a better place when life flourishes instead of being consumed by darkness. After the humans departed, the Zephyrian Council sat in contemplative silence. In the span of a few days, their understanding of the universe had been completely transformed. They had gone from accepting extinction to being offered membership in a cosmic community they never could have imagined. We need to contact the surviving colonies immediately, said Elder Simvara finally. This decision will shape the future of our entire species. As they began preparations for galaxy-wide communications, the tactical displays continued showing the systematic elimination of devourer entities by the human ship. What had once seemed like unstoppable cosmic horrors were being methodically erased from existence by beings who spoke of protecting life across multiple galaxies. The Zephyrian Republic faced a choice that would define not just their recovery from near extinction, but their role in the cosmic community they had never known existed. The humans had offered them hope, technology, and purpose beyond anything they had imagined possible. Now they had to decide whether they were ready to embrace a future among the stars. 3 months after the human ship Prometheus had eliminated the last devourer from Zephyrian space, Ambassador Kelthra stood in the observation deck of the newly constructed orbital station above her homeworld of Zephyr Prime. The planet below showed clear signs of recovery. Green patches where atmospheric processors had restored damaged ecosystems, the lights of rebuilt cities, and the geometric patterns of agricultural zones feeding a growing population. The response from the surviving Zephyrian colonies had been overwhelming. Faced with the choice between isolated reconstruction and joining a cosmic community dedicated to protecting life, 94% of citizens had voted for network integration. The remaining 6% had requested relocation to designated systems where they could pursue traditional Zephyrian development without cosmic responsibilities. The first group of human technical advisors will arrive in approximately 1 hour, reported Dr. Thainvor, the lead scientist overseeing the technology integration project. Captain Chun indicated they're bringing fabrication systems for the initial defensive installations. Kelthra nodded, still amazed by the pace of change. In 3 months, the Zephyrian Republic had been transformed from a dying civilization to the newest member of an intergalactic protection network. The technology transfers alone had advanced their capabilities by centuries. How are the volunteers adapting to the preliminary training programs? She asked. Better than expected, replied General Vexmore, who had been overseeing military integration. The human training methods are unlike anything we've encountered. Instead of just teaching us to use their technology, they're helping us understand the underlying principles so we can develop our own innovations. The approach had surprised many Zephyrians. Rather than simply providing advanced equipment, the humans were sharing the scientific foundations that made such technology possible. They seemed genuinely interested in what unique contributions Zephyrian scientists and engineers might make to the network's capabilities. Speaking of innovations, said Dr. Thainvor, activating a holographic display, our quantum mechanics team believes they've identified a potential improvement to human dimensional transit calculations. The mathematical frameworks we developed for stellar cartography might allow for more precise targeting across galactic distances. Kelthra studied the complex equations with growing excitement. Have you shared this with Dr. Webb's team? We're presenting it this afternoon. They seemed very interested when we mentioned the preliminary results. Through the observation deck's transparent walls, they could see the approaching human transport vessel. Unlike the imposing warship that had first arrived in their space, this craft was clearly designed for construction and support operations. It was accompanied by a Zephyrian escort fleet, new ships incorporating both species' technologies into hybrid designs that represented the beginning of true integration. The cultural exchange programs are proceeding well too, added Elder Simvara, who had just entered the observation deck. Our artists and historians are fascinated by human creativity, while their cultural specialists are documenting our traditions for the network archives. The cultural aspect of network membership had been unexpected. The humans weren't just interested in technological and military contributions. They actively sought to preserve and share the unique perspectives, art forms, and philosophical insights of each member civilization. The network's cultural archives apparently contain the accumulated wisdom and creativity of dozens of species spanning hundreds of thousands of years. And the first joint operation? Inquired Kael'thara. General Vexmore's expression showed both excitement and nervousness. Scheduled for next month. A reconnaissance mission to investigate anomalous energy readings in the Triangulum Galaxy. Nothing dangerous, primarily an opportunity for our personnel to observe network operations firsthand. The mission would mark the first time Zephyrians participated in protecting another civilization. It was a milestone that would complete their transformation from refugees to guardians. Incoming transmission from Captain Chun, announced the station's communication officer. The main display activated, showing Captain Chun in what appeared to be the bridge of the Prometheus. Behind her, Kael'thara could see human and non-human crew members working together at stations displaying incomprehensible data. Ambassador Kael'thara, I hope reconstruction efforts are proceeding well. Exceptionally well, Captain. Our people continue to be amazed by the pace of recovery. We've already exceeded pre-war population levels on 6 worlds. Excellent news. I'm calling to inform you that the Network Council has approved the Zephyrian Republic's application for full membership. Congratulations, you're now the 48th civilization in the Protection Network. A cheer went up from the assembled Zephyrian officials. Full membership meant access to the network's most advanced technologies and participation in high-level strategic decisions affecting multiple galaxies. There's more, continued Captain Chun. The Council was particularly impressed by your people's rapid adaptation and innovative contributions. They've decided to establish a major regional headquarters in Zephyrian space. Kael'thara felt her heart's racing. Regional headquarters? A coordination center responsible for monitoring and protecting approximately 12 galaxy clusters in this cosmic sector. It will be staffed by representatives from multiple member civilizations and serve as a training facility for new recruits. The implications were staggering. The Zephyrian Republic would become a major hub in the network's operations, hosting beings from dozens of advanced civilizations and playing a central role in protecting countless species across vast regions of space. We're honored by the Council's confidence in us, said Elder Simvara. The confidence is well placed. In just 3 months, your people have demonstrated exactly the characteristics the architects were looking for when they established the network. Adaptability, innovation, and genuine concern for the welfare of others. Dr. Thanevor stepped forward. Captain, we've made some potentially significant breakthroughs in dimensional transit mathematics. Will we have the opportunity to present our findings to the broader network? Absolutely. In fact, that's part of why the Council chose your region for a headquarters. Your people's unique approaches to quantum mechanics and stellar engineering are generating considerable interest among network scientists. Several member civilizations have requested collaborative research opportunities. The conversation continued for another hour, covering details of the upcoming headquarters construction, assignment of permanent network personnel to Zephyrian space, and the establishment of training facilities for new member civilizations. By the time the transmission ended, it was clear that the Zephyrian Republic's role in the cosmic community would be far more significant than anyone had initially imagined. 6 months ago, we were preparing for extinction, mused General Vexmore. Now we're becoming a major hub for protecting life across multiple galaxies. And it's just the beginning, added Dr. Thanevor. The humans mentioned that the network is constantly expanding, making contact with new civilizations and developing new capabilities to counter cosmic threats. As they watched the human transport vessel dock with their orbital station, Kael'thara reflected on the incredible journey her people had taken. The arrival of the Prometheus had saved them from immediate extinction, but the choice to join the protection network had given them something far more valuable, a purpose that would define their species for generations to come. "Contact from the surface," announced the communication officer. "The memorial dedication ceremony is ready to begin." Through the observation deck's displays, they could see the vast memorial complex on Zephyr Prime's largest continent. It honored the billions of Zephyrians who had died during the Devourer attacks, but it also celebrated the species' rebirth and commitment to ensuring that other civilizations would never face the same fate. The ceremony was being attended by representatives from throughout Zephyrian space and by human officers who had participated in their rescue. But, more significantly, it was being broadcast throughout the protection network, where dozens of member civilizations would witness the Zephyrian Republic's formal commitment to the cosmic community. As the ceremony began, Elder Simvara stepped to the memorial's central podium. Her words were being translated into dozens of languages for species scattered across multiple galaxies. "Today we honor those who fell to the darkness between stars," she began. "But we also celebrate those who brought light to drive away that darkness. The human species answered our call for help when we had lost all hope. They offered us not just survival, but purpose." The camera showed human officers standing alongside Zephyrian officials, their presence serving as a reminder of the bond forged between their species. The Zephyrian Republic joins the Cosmic Protection Network not just as refugees seeking safety, but as guardians committed to ensuring that no civilization faces extinction alone. "We pledge our knowledge, our courage, and our lives to the preservation of life throughout the universe." As Elder Simvara spoke, holographic displays showed the current state of the network: hundreds of protected galaxies, dozens of member civilizations, and thousands of worlds where life flourished under their protection. The Zephyrian Republic was now part of something far greater than themselves. "The darkness sought to consume us," Elder Simvara continued, "but we survived. Others sought to help us, and we learned. Now we seek to help others, and in doing so, we honor both the dead and the living." The ceremony concluded with the activation of the memorial's central beacon, a quantum transmitter that would broadcast a signal of hope across multiple dimensions, serving as both a monument to the fallen and a promise to the living that help would always be available to those who needed it. As the beacon's light reached into space, Kael'thara received a message on her personal communicator. It was from Captain Chun. "Ambassador, the Network Council has received requests from 17 civilizations asking for Zephyrian participation in their integration processes. Your people's rapid adaptation and innovative contributions have made you highly sought after as mentors and partners." Kael'thara smiled as she read the message. The species that had once faced extinction was now being asked to help others facing similar crises. The circle was complete. "Dr. Thanevor," she called to the chief scientist. "How soon can we have the first group of mentor teams ready for deployment?" 2 weeks, assuming we can get approval for the advanced training protocols. Consider it approved. If 17 civilizations are requesting our help, we'll find a way to assist them all. General Vexmore joined their planning discussion. The military integration teams are ready as well. Several member civilizations have specifically requested Zephyrian tactical innovations for their defensive planning. As the memorial ceremony continued below and the Protection Network's newest members took their place among the cosmic community, Kael'thara realized that their transformation was far from over. The humans had saved them from extinction and offered them membership in an alliance dedicated to protecting life itself. But now the Zephyrians would play their own role in that mission, helping other species make the same journey from darkness to light, from despair to hope, from extinction to eternal purpose among the stars. The universe was vast and full of dangers, but it was also full of species willing to stand together against those dangers. The Zephyrian Republic had learned this truth in their darkest hour, and now they would spend eternity ensuring that others learned it too. In the depths of space, the quantum beacon continued broadcasting its message of hope across dimensions, reaching out to civilizations not yet born, carrying the promise that no matter how dark the universe became, there would always be those willing to bring light to drive away the darkness. The humans had kept their promise to help. Now it was the Zephyrians' turn to make that same promise to others. The circle of protection would continue, expanding ever outward, until every corner of the cosmos knew that life was precious and worth defending. And, in the cold void between galaxies, where cosmic horrors still lurked and waited for their chance to consume the light of civilization. The combined fleets of the protection network stood ready to meet them, guided by the simple principle that had driven the humans to cross impossible distances to save a dying species. Everyone deserved the chance to reach for the stars.